It's late in the day and I ain't been on the court yet. Hustle to the mall to get me a short set. Yeah, I got on sneaks, but I need a new pair. Cause basketball courts in the summer got girls there. The temperature's about 88. Hop in the water plug, just for old time's sake. Break to your crib, change your clothes once more. Cause you're invited to a barbecue to start at 4. Sitting with your friends, as y'all reminisce about the days growing up and the first person you kiss. And as I think back, makes me wonder how the smell from a grill can spark up nostalgia.
The views shared on this program are not necessarily the views of DBN, its sponsors, or affiliates. DBN nor the Logic-based collective can be held responsible for anything taken personal when you could have just changed the station to begin with. If you are offended by world-class conversation that moves you to be a better self, you should leave while you have the chance. We are not pros, but we're like pros. But we're becoming pros. And so we want you to, in the event that you like to sue, we have no money. But if you drop your job's address and number in the comments, we will call them and let you know that you will be on an all expense paid vacation into your feelings. Yo, we want to welcome you all to another conversation with the Logic-based collective, where we collectively challenge ourselves and one another to evolve mentally and spiritually. We are glad to have you along on this journey with us. I'm AJ. That's TW, Siobhan, Khadijah, KJ, and in the back that y'all can't see is AJ. That's the other AJ. There's two here. So, you know, we're jam-packed with greatness. So even before we get to how everybody's doing, we want to welcome to the show. Welcome very much. Khadijah to it. Now, I got to tell you a little bit about Khadijah. She has her own mental health practice. This is Intuit Behavioral Health Services. It's their telehealth services, actually, and she is a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. She's a doctor, like a doctor, not like Dr. Strange. He used to be a doctor, but now he's into the mystic arts. She's an actual doctor. So she doesn't have superpowers, but she does have the gift of speech, and she's extremely smart. I want you guys to pay close attention because we're getting ready to help somebody. It is Mental Health Month. It's the month of May. And so we're doing our thing right now. She's been working in healthcare for about 20 years. I know that you don't believe that because she looks younger than I do, and that's saying something because I'm 42. I'm not going to say how old she is, but I get mistaken for late 20s all the time. I don't know if those people are lying, but I'm going by what they're saying. I'm applying it to me, and then I'm applying it to her. So we're going to start with Khadijah. How are you doing today? We just want to know how are you feeling? How are you? I know you're glad to be here and all that, but how are you doing?
I'm fabulous at 46. I ain't mad.
46.
Yeah.
You're not lying.
Healing looks good, y'all.
There we go.
Right on brand.
Okay, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. Everything's good.
All right, AJ, what's up?
Oh, I'm charged up. I'm ready to go. It's the favorite day of the week right here.
Let's go.
All right, TW.
Oh, things are good, man. Mind, body, spirit. I'm in a good place. Family's good. I'm good. I'm blessed.
That's what's up, bro. Siobhan?
I'm pretty good coming off of Mother's Day, just reflecting yesterday on who I got in my life and just feeling extremely blessed to be where I'm at.
Ain't he good? Won't he do it?
Yes, you will. I'm doing all right. I'm lying. So not really doing well. Definitely received some information I have to ponder on after. But in perspective, in the life perspective, mentally I'm in a good place. Spiritually, I'm in a great place. And so overall, I really can't complain. I'm glad to be here. This is Mental Health Month. This really is a subject that means a lot to me. I know I would hope that more, because our show is, is geared toward men, although we welcome any audience. Mental health is something that kind of gets looked over, particularly in our community, whether it's like the stigmas around it or just kind of things that nobody wants to talk about. So I'm definitely glad to be here for this and to have who we have on the show, I got to give you the Scott Hall because we're talking about Khadijah to it. Khadijah. So we kind of wanted to be able to talk a little bit about mental health, which is it's a broad spectrum. There's a lot of things that we could talk about, but I wanted to maybe start where we were talking off air about how a lot of us as men, and I don't have whatever, and I don't even think this is restricted to a race or or a nationality. Think we're told to not show our emotions for so long, and when we become adults, a lot of us don't. Emotionally, we're not prepared to be able to handle life the way that we should. We end up having communication problems. We end up having there's a lot of things that we should maybe conversation we should probably have with our spouses that we don't have because we're told to carry everything.
Yeah.
It's like, what I mean? I heard this comedian one time, he was like, yo, like nobody gives us grace to be able to, like say a baby is cute or hug a puppy. And so, we have to, so it's like you just cram everything down inside of you until you have a heart attack at 45 and then you die like a self-respecting man. So what I mean, so I know, you've seen a lot of this, I'm sure, in your field, but what say you on the subject?
I'm gonna say that it might happen to men, but it is extra deep for Black men. So it's Mental Health Month, but we're gonna talk about Black men and Black mental health, because that's my thing and that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. First of all, as we were saying before off air, the first problem that we go wrong is assigning emotions to gender. And so that is a first way to fail, because now what you've done is told a little boy that the things that he's feeling that are true, he should not be feeling. Therefore, he stuffs such feelings and demonstrates them in other ways that are usually not the most productive or the most healthy. So we want to raise emotionally mature boys so they can be emotionally sound men, which means we have to create space for emotions. All of them are correct. You are supposed to be sad, mad, angry, anxious, happy, tearful, joyful, hurt, vulnerable, right? Without being judged.
Right.
And so I think the first problem is that men don't have a space where they don't often feel like they don't have to be judged. They're always put into the role of the protector and the provider. And honestly, we narrow our men when we do that because they're so much richer than protectors and providers. There are nurturers, there are healers, there are safety net. And so when we narrow men to just, again, gender roles, tasks, then you ain't seeing your man. You're not healing your baby. You're not seeing your child. You're not seeing your brother, right? And therefore, you are not helping to heal your village. And so we have to be able to create that space for healing. And we have to be able to receive. And so that's the other part. When I get a Black man in my room for treatment, it's special gloves because you don't often come. And when you do come, if you're not received correctly, you won't be coming back. So it is so important that when men step into the room, Black men, they have their space and that they can be vulnerable and they can be heard and they can take their cape off, their armor off, because they wear this armor all the time, right? Take it off. Be vulnerable, at least in this moment, so that you can heal and you can know that somebody sees all the parts of you. And they're all good, and it's all good.
That's dope. You make I like that you make us feel good about ourselves.
Y'all been through a lot. I mean, historically, let's be honest. Y'all been played with from day one. Y'all been ripped, y'all been shredded, y'all been pulled out your home, y'all been made to be inadequate, refused opportunities, and then told that you're the problem. And it's not true. Y'all some survivors. And if you were put into your real light and loved up, that's what they don't want, because that becomes a threat. A whole healed man, baby, they're unstoppable. Now you're talking about healing whole villages, whole communities. That's the threat.
I don't think that I've heard anybody explain something to where I don't have any follow-up questions.
I do though.
Yes.
You know, I think very well said and all valid. But how do we start to create these spaces, right?
Yeah.
How can we as men start these conversations? Should we involve women in these conversations, or is this something that we should start within a group or a collective of ourselves?
Both. First of all, you need to have a space period, whether it's that person that you can talk to, that you can be actually vulnerable with. And if you don't have a person, first of all, get into treatment. It's okay. Find your person. And I tell people this. It's hard to find a good therapist. It's hard to find a good provider, right? It's like social media.
Mhm.
You look it on social media and you might find an outfit or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's popping, right? I need that. I see it. It looks good on whatever X model. And then you get this thing to your house and you put it on, and it's just not given. It's high water. It's muffin top. It's not given, right? Yo,
Yeah.
okay. So you cannot walk around naked. And those pants are gonna fit somebody else. Put them joints back on the shelf. Don't take a slot. Don't sit there if you know it doesn't feel comfortable, but go back and find your pair. I can guarantee you, when you find what fits for you, you will never go outside naked again. You're gonna order them joints in every single color. And every day you're gonna be rocking it because you found what fits. You got to find your fit. And that's not just with therapy. That's with your village, that's with your friends, that's with your people. You know, that's who you share energy with. You want to be particular about who you share energy with. And if you're around people and you don't feel relaxed, you feel on edge, you feel irritable, they are disrupting your spirit. And you need to have to get a discernment. You know, why am I putting myself in this position when it's not healthy for my soul? And know when you're in a room with people that are. Gravitate and expand that energy. But I think you guys are doing that here by starting with a space and having a conversation. It all starts with a conversation. You know, we are cultured. Like, I'm gonna say, yo, bro, how you doing? What you gonna tell me?
I'm good.
Absolutely. You a lie.
Yeah.
You a lie.
Yeah.
You're
All right. You a
Yeah.
lie. And the reason why is this, right? We are also conditioned to know that when someone asks us, they don't really care to hear the answer. And so it's superficial BS that we give each other. So if you really care about your people, and I say this all the time, ask twice. Yo, T, how you
Yes.
doing? The first time, what you gonna say?
I'm good.
Yo, T, how you doing?
You have to take a minute to
Now
really.
you gonna because the reality is now you know
Yeah.
that I really want to know what's up with you, bro.
Yeah, that second question felt different.
And it always will. So when you care about your people, ask them twice, y'all. Give them a minute to hear what you're actually saying and know that you're looking at them and that you're ready to receive them. So it's about how we interact with each other too.
Because sometimes conversations almost feel like call and response. You hear them say something, you're programmed to say something in
Yeah.
response.
Right.
So I think by repeating that question and really getting them to understand that you really want to know what's going on, it definitely sits different.
And we talk about programming, right? We talked about cultures and rituals and whoever says that you're supposed to do whatever, like do what feels good for your soul. Do what's going to heal you, right? Because if we do what we always did generationally, I mean, I tell my kids this all the time, like I thought I was a good parent, but a lot of what I did was out of survival. I had to grow up out of survival. So I didn't get to give them all the nurturing that I should have been able to get them because I need to make sure y'all could feed and I could eat. And I'm raising 9 kids, me and my husband. So all the tender talks sometimes couldn't occur because we parenting out of survival.
Right.
But we're also generational cycle breakers. So I can look at my kids and say, y'all don't gotta survive like that. So be in tune with your feelings. Go get help. So when you have your children and they start to show emotions, you can recognize it right away and sit down on the floor and have those conversations because we are no longer in survival mode. That's the generational healing. It's not overnight. We didn't get here overnight.
Right.
It's not going to change tomorrow. You know what I mean? But change can occur. You heal one family member. You have one sick family member. Everybody in the house suffering.
True.
One person, everybody feels it. Oh, so-and-so on, oh man, they're home, they're not home. Where my stuff? Like everybody feels that in their system.
Right.
When that one person heals, nobody else in the household feels it. They leave their home, they'll heal. They feel good. They give good into the world. They don't have that stress. People they encounter now feel good. It's a domino effect in the good, right? Don't let people fool you about what you see on TV. There's an equal amount of good happening in this world.
Absolutely.
Okay? They just don't want to show it because why would they want you to know that we're so dope and so powerful and doing all this amazing stuff?
Because
Why?
This is a business.
All right. Okay. So
I need you to look at it the way I want you to see it.
correct.
Because I'm trying to sell you something.
Tell lie vision.
Right.
Tells lies.
So I kind of want to touch on what you just mentioned,
Yeah.
like how even in one household, one sick person can affect everyone. What do you do? I mean, so especially as being the mom, the woman of the house, or whatever, when you are effectively not trying to change the atmosphere and you are faking the funk, like what do you do? How do you manage that?
So if you're the individual that's actually the problem, and you're just like, you mean like faking
And
it
you
till you
want,
make
yeah,
it.
and you want to make sure that they're not feeling that. You don't want them to feel the effects of your energy.
So I'm gonna tell you the truth. Energy is energy. If you faking it, they feeling it. And they just learning how to fake it too. You do your babies no justice when you don't show them all of you. It's okay to say, Mom is hurting. Mom going through some things, you know what I mean? And I need some support. I love you, but it's a hard day for me. Because then when they have a hard day, they're gonna say, hey Mom, it's a hard day, 70-30. Which percent, you know, sometimes they gotta give a little bit, sometimes you gotta give a little bit, but you do them no justice by not being true to yourself and showing them. And then when you do and you get the help and you heal, guess what they know they can do?
Do the same thing.
You got that right, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't and you hold it, then that's all they're gonna learn how to do. And they're not gonna be true to themselves. Healing is work.
Yeah.
Healing is real work, and it's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's very uncomfortable. But we grow towards the sun. We stretch.
Mm.
We stretch. We don't break. Okay? So when you're watered and you're nurtured,
Told you
you'll
something
bloom.
too.
Ah.
Okay. She's not making an argument to have a solution. No, but I know, you know, what you're saying, it kind of resonated with me because it's true. I think, you know, our parents came from like a different time, you know, like a different I mean, my parents are boomers, so right. They the way that I saw my dad is very different than the way that I see him now, because you know, like I never saw him get hurt. Even when he fell down, like he didn't make no face.
Okay.
He could be my father's kidneys failed, and I didn't see him have a bad day. He didn't frown. He went about, and although like it's admirable to do that, like because of that, like I felt like just almost like he was invulnerable to, you know, to anything. And so like then, you know, fast forward to this past year, and he lost two of his best friends. And then later in the year, so I'm like, you know, I'm trying to get him to do stuff, just leave the house, and, you know what I mean? But I wasn't thinking, and you know, I was like, yo, he's busy. He pastors the church. He does so many things. And so then before the year ended, he was like, yo, you know, I want to do more of these things. He's like, but you know, I wanted to do that stuff, but I was depressed and I didn't really know, you know what I mean? Like, yo, it really kind of shook me to hear my dad tell me that. I didn't even really know how to react to him. It made me feel bad because I was not able to support him, and I didn't even know how, because it's like, how do you, you know what I mean? Like, yo, what do you do if Superman is bleeding?
Yeah, I was about to say
good question.
that was my analogy. I was gonna say
you know what I'm
if Superman scraped his knee, like you're like, do I bring your Band-Aid? Like it's
Absolutely.
weird.
Like, what?
Absolutely.
Lois Lane does it, though.
Absolutely. You administer first aid. Absolutely. We take care of each other no matter what the superpower is supposed to be, because everybody has a vulnerability. Every superhero had a vulnerability. So no one is really super. Everybody's got a weakness. Okay. So that's the first thing.
It's just dope that it's okay to. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the biggest thing generationally, is it just wasn't taught that it was okay
Right.
Yeah.
to have these emotions.
Correct.
So I mean, like when we're talking about like, you know, even like what we're growing to be, like I hate to say it, but your self-worth as a man, you're almost like giving yourself a sense of failure if you're not,
Right.
if you're crying when you fall off your bike,
Right.
because your dad never cried. So how can you be what you want to be if you're feeling pain?
Or never cried in front of you.
Of course.
Right.
100%.
Okay. But probably had many crying nights in the bathroom alone. Heaving. Okay. Silently into something. So here's the other part.
Long
A lot
drive,
of times
pillow
we don't
punch.
even know what depression looks like because
Mhm.
we're autopilot, right? As long as I get up and go to work, but you can't run from yourself. So as soon as you lay down and try to go to bed, it's
Catches
just
up.
you and your thoughts. And your thoughts are going to tell you about all the stuff that you were trying not to think about during the day when you were staying busy. And it will torment you and it will keep you awake until you get up and go on autopilot again. And we don't talk about what that looks like. It's the irritability. It's the I don't want to go hang out with anybody. I'd
Right.
rather just sit here. I don't have the desire, right? I'm frustrated. I'm tired. My eating is all over the place. Sometimes I ain't got no appetite. Sometimes I'm eating myself sick, right? And I can't figure out why I can't just regulate myself. Like these are signs.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously you're the expert, but
Yeah.
depression doesn't look the same for everybody. So you know what I mean? Like it could be the person that hides, or it could be the person that refuses to ever sit still because
Oh,
they
yeah.
like make
Restless.
themselves busy.
Restless.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
no.
internally and externally.
Man,
Yeah, they're moving around a lot.
Yeah.
Or the opposite. They're slumped.
Right.
They're like, dang, I ain't gonna do nothing. You just been sitting here all day. Like, get out. Like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Right.
You straight. You
Yeah,
good?
You good?
Right.
Yeah, no, homie, it's not good.
Right.
Okay?
That's what it boils
Homie,
down
it's
to.
not. And then here's the other part: medication.
Okay.
And I think that for Black people as a whole, we discredit a lot that I ain't taking them people meds. That ain't for me. I don't trust them folks. They try. Okay. And then we suffer in silence even longer.
Mhm.
We are quick to say things are not for us. And I'm gonna use golf. I use golf as a big example. I'm like, y'all golf? Like, I don't golf. That ain't for me. I don't go to no golf club. So you don't know if you golf or not. You just ain't been to no club.
Right.
So somebody's told you what you do or don't like, and you believed it without even having an experience of your own. Ain't that something?
Country music.
Ooh, baby. And I love it.
It
It's
is.
deep. It's deep to go so deep for your soul. It's some poetry.
A lot of
Let me
storytelling.
ask
That's
you a question as a
that's-
subscriber though. So
Yeah.
like, because some of that stuff, I think, all right, part of it is, like I don't feel like I want to have to depend on medicine
Ooh, I
to
love
be
this.
myself.
Yes.
But
Okay.
also
about it.
before you, because that's a super that I really need to know about that. But
Yeah.
before I go there, it be the side effects.
Oh,
When I be
yes.
hearing like stuff on TV, I'm like, man, if I gotta choose between being depressed and like explosive diarrhea, like you know what I mean? Like I'm cool with itchy rashes and
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I'm cool on that. Like I'm fine with just being me. So what like how do you when you have like those adverse reactions to those medications, but it really works for you? What do you do?
So one of the big adverse reactions, I'm assuming that you're probably talking about that people, the two biggest ones that nobody talks about that everybody should is weight gain
Gaining weight.
and sexual side effects.
Yeah.
Both of those are a
forget
deal
about it.
breaker.
Like-
All right, and I'm very open with people about certain medications because I'm saying we're not fixing one thing and breaking another. That's not a win. And if you don't have a good sexual health, then you don't have good health because that is a part of your life. So, and if you're gaining weight, nobody wants to like feel good and be fluffy. Like that is
Right.
not. So we talk about these things, but there's also, this is why it's good to have a really good prescriber because you need somebody who can know you and target you and prescribe right meds that aren't going to have the side effects and is open with you about conversation. Like if you have a med and it feels great, but there's this one problem, but baby, I got something that's going to spring that thing right back on up. Like we can fix that.
Amen.
Right? So that's not a deal breaker. We talk about but you
That's
have to
a
be
wild
comfortable.
amen.
You have to be-
It was.
And this is for women too. But this is for women too.
I feel like God was like,
Sexual health, mental health, not having a desire, not wanting to be intimate with your partner because you don't feel good is another sign. And that's not healthy. It's not healthy. And so we talk about all of that, but you have to have a provider that you can feel comfortable with, that you can say, yo, what's going on with that? Like, is this an issue? Because I don't need your partner coming for me. Like, that's
Right.
not goals either. Right. And so I think it's real talk. And this is why I get a lot of history. When I meet with somebody, I don't prescribe when I first meet them because I want to know about you. And
I
we
gotta
talk about
figure-
everything.
Right.
I want to know about how you grew up. I want to know about your parents. I want to know about how you eat, where you live, where you work, things that have happened in your life, what your goals are. Are you able to focus? What's your diet? Are you eating too much sugar, too much caffeine? I need a whole picture so I can help you.
Because I gotta figure out that I'm prescribing something to
Right.
you and not the symptom.
Correct. So
Right.
here's people ask me all the time, what's the difference between like a medical doctor and a nurse practitioner,
Mhm.
right? Medical doctors are problem focused. You have a headache, they're going to give you something for the headache. Nurses are holistic by mind, body, and spirit. We want to treat all of you. So we care about all of these things that are affecting you. I don't want to hear that you're just in a bad mood. I want to know what's causing it. Did you
Right.
sleep? Are you having relationship trouble?
Right.
Where is this coming from? You know, are you unfocused? There's a lot of untreated. Here's another thing, untreated ADHD. So we have people who can't get through a day. They're distracted, they're unfocused, and people think that the only treatment is addicting medications like stimulants, and that's not true at all. I actually have a practice. I prescribe no controlled substances, and I treat ADHD successfully.
Nice.
Wow.
Correct.
Flexing
Because
on 'em, I
things
see you.
matter. There's things that matter, but you need somebody who understands a little bit about everything and cares about us in particular. Because the DSM, the diagnostic book, does not include things about us.
That's
All
I
right.
hear
So
that
when you
all the
ask
time.
me if things look differently, absolutely they look differently for us. And then when we present with even some of the same symptoms, we're judged and given wrong diagnoses that are usually more aggressive in nature.
Absolutely.
Right? Irritability is a sign of depression. So when they're saying the angry Black woman, what they're not saying is how sad she is.
Okay.
True.
Okay.
Very true.
How sad she is and how she has no outlet. Same thing with the broken man.
Right.
He ain't there. He out there. Why?
Right.
Why?
What is he running from?
Why?
Right.
Does he feel safe? Does he have his space? Does he lay his head down? Is he able to relax and let his load off? Like, can he put himself down for a minute? Literally and figuratively. All of it, right? Because it matters, though. Because that piece matters. It does matter. And so
One thing I wanted to circle back to, AJ was mentioning his dad and that he told him that he had depression. I think that's a big thing because we get to this place where we're going through something, but we have sometimes it's pride, sometimes it's I don't want people to worry, or it's anxiety. Like we give ourselves reasons not to tell people to seek help. So I think it takes like some strength just to say, you know what, I'm going through something and I need help or I need something.
There was 2 generational cycle breaks that happened right there. One was the dad's, right?
Yep.
One was the dad's because he actually found a space and a place where he can finally say, I was this.
Right.
All right. That's one cycle break. The second was the son. The son can now see, oh my God, I thought this man was indestructible and he was really human. So therefore I can now be human.
Yeah, humanize the emotions.
I am like my dad.
Right.
Like I'm sitting here thinking that I'm not, and I'm thinking I'm inadequate when in truth, I'm a chip off that old block.
Yeah, that's
We're the
You know what I'm
same.
saying? You know what I'm saying? Some pride up in there. You know?
Kind of to touch base on that, I was just having a thought. Like, is male stoicism like a trauma response to our ancestors? Like when we were being beaten and broken, that was a show for people. That was never done in private, right? Like if I discipline my child today, I wouldn't do that publicly because that's something that I do. I'm trying to teach a lesson and convey a message at that point. But I think we, at that time, were being taught, not necessarily, but indirectly, that we have to be stoic because that's my wife and that's my child and these are my, you know what I mean? If I was a leader, you know what I mean, within that space.
So they weren't trying to make them stoic. They were trying to make them broken. And what happened in the breaking is the only power that the Black man had left was to not let you see that I'm breaking.
Right.
The problem is we never put that down. Okay. And we can go back to slavery, which is not our days. We are kings and queens, we're royalty. But if we went to slavery, we knew how royal we were, right? And so even in the worst of times, we were singing and shucking. So even then, we didn't let ourselves be weak or broken or vulnerable. But it didn't always do us a justice because that is a long, long generational trauma. And so what happens when you carry that type of trauma is exactly what we're seeing medically. Early heart attacks, strokes. Our mothers can't even deliver their babies. They're having miscarriages. Miscarriages are related to a stress hormone. Stress hormones is what cause mothers to go into labor. So if the regular mother stresses here and the Black woman stresses here, you popping off, you can't make it. And then you talk about the birth. Who's the first hands that touch your baby?
The doctor.
And what do they look like? And what does it look? Okay,
It's true.
On average?
correct. So, but
trying to get you to do
when you think about trauma,
Right.
and the hands that even if you survive the womb,
Correct.
the first hands that touch you might not even have love for you.
It's also true.
And so It's born and bred in our DNA. But I say this too. The same way trauma comes in the DNA, healing reverses trauma in the DNA. Okay? So it's not a one-way track. This is not one way. So the same way trauma has negative effects, healing has real positive effects too. There's benefits to it. And you said something about medication, of not wanting to be dependent. I don't want anybody dependent. I tell people this, sometimes medication is for a reason in a season. Okay? Sometimes the lead suit is just too heavy. And even if you want to do the work in therapy, it's too hard because you're feeling so heavy that you can't apply the knowledge that is being spewed at you every single visit, right? You just can't. And so sometimes you need something to lift the cloud to do the work. And I tell people this, you feel great, life's changed, you're doing well. Let's see how it is. All right, you're on this dose. We don't got to just stop it. Let's drop it a little bit. Meet in a couple weeks. One or two things are going to happen. You can be like, Doc T, I feel great. I can't tell we did nothing. Whoop the whoop. We go down again. Or you can be like, yo, I was irritable. I was anxious. I was like, yo, this the old person come back. I don't like this. My family looking at me. Everybody looking like, yo, take your meds.
Right.
I'm going to just stay on it because I was cool. My life was good and nobody knew but me and my business. Right? And we take it step by step like that. So it's personal and it's individual. There is no blanket. Everybody's experience is their own. Everybody's treatment is different, right? But there's a lot of treatment out there. There's a lot of science out there. So people do not have to be struggling through, feeling all janky and can't get through your life when you can have some relief.
I think probably because the biggest, I'm sorry, but like a lot of particular, well, you know what, maybe KJ too, I was gonna say Terrell and I, because of the field that we work in, like we see a lot of individuals and the medications that that they take, and we notice the things like the side effects that it has on them. You can notice like their personality, and you're going from being maybe somebody can be like just overbearing, you're like all over the place and like kind of in your face, maybe even wanting to fight until like till now they're very subdued.
Yeah.
They're drooling.
Unacceptable.
They're staring off into space.
Unacceptable.
You know what I mean? Like, so
Unacceptable.
I think because that's what we see.
Right.
That, you know what I mean? Like, that's what we think it is.
Inpatient world, right? I worked inpatient psychiatry she was my partner. You know what I'm saying? We worked inpatient psychiatry for a very, very long time. So there's acute stabilization. All right. Acute stabilization means if you are so bad that you are unsafe in the community to yourself or somebody else, we're going to rapidly titrate you, subdue you enough, send you to outpatient and have them tweak it enough to get you functional again. Inpatient psychiatry works very different. Outpatient does not work like that. And so early intervention matters. Don't wait till you're at a place where you don't have control of your life and somebody's locking you behind doors because you didn't get the treatment when you had choice. Right?
Yeah.
Don't get to the point where you don't have choice or you're so dysregulated that you might not make it to that system. You can hope to get to the psychiatric system. They got a whole nother one that they are fully funding, waiting to line you up in. Okay? And when they give you those drugs, trust me, you're going to bed. So be proactive in your life. Make sure you get some treatment so that people can feel better.
So when we speak of a lack of being proactive, good little quick history lesson I would try to ask you, like, could you tell us a little bit about just the minority community and the transition of the stigma that, like he said with his dad, and like generationally against mental health, or like maybe you have the unstable family member that's tucked away in some bedroom in the house, like we all seen on Soul Food or whatever, like to now. I mean, we've done a lot of work as a culture completely over generations for us to even have people that look like us to be able to help us. So could you give us a little bit of backstory on how that change came about?
Yeah, first of all, we have every right not to trust anything in the system, period and point blank. We have been the guinea pigs. We have been used. We have every right to have a healthy dose of I don't trust. Okay. So this is what I tell people. We need to infiltrate every system that is out there, no matter what.
Absolutely.
All right. And so if you don't see us in there, then we are at risk and we are at danger. And so we need to be everywhere. And if you're not there and you see a system and you don't want to be there, then you need to create your own. Because the truth of the matter is, if we don't have people to receive us, we're going to be in trouble. And so trust is a big thing. There's a right not to trust, and there's not enough of us. I think Black nurse practitioners with their doctorate degree might be in psychiatry 1 to 2% of the population. So it's like a straight unicorn, right? Like there's just not enough. And so I was also the president of Leadership Matters. So this is also the other part where you guys are doing Mattered, right? I was the president of the Western Mass Black Nurses Association. This puts me in a role to now educate, to show them what the gimmick is. Like, y'all, I was a man. Let me show you the questions. Let me show you when you go get a job, right? And they give you the rate. Pause them right there, right? This is how we build up our community. Ask them what the minimum, medium, and maximum rate is and how they decide who fits in what bucket. You're not gonna play with me.
Right.
All right. And that's
You
right.
got to know your stuff.
You got to know the questions to ask, because I tell people, you're going there because they need you. So you get a right to interview them.
Right.
All right. Ask them, what's your overtime looking like? All right. If most of your staff is doing overtime, you need to pay me, because that means I'm going to be spending more time with you folks than at home. And so my starting rate is no longer the starting rate that we were going to talk about, because you are not staff, which tells me I'm going to be doing a lot more work than what's on this application.
Absolutely.
So you're going to pay me for it.
Or
Right? So it's learning how to barter for yourself. This is how we break the curses. I've been in Zoom meetings where I heard somebody saying that they were about to underbid. Turn that thing off. Don't you do that?
Yep.
Start here. They're playing with you. We have to look out for each other. We have to be our own underground railroad with everything that we do.
Right.
There is no don't tell, don't share, don't do. We do ourselves an injustice. I'm telling everything.
Absolutely.
What you want to know. Pay rate. Well, I'm talking Big Mike, because that's the only way we're going to get better, is not by playing ourselves. Right?
What-
By thinking we can't talk about the things that we need to talk about in any capacity, but infiltration is what we need to do.
So that's how they play us against each other. Because what
Right.
happens is I give somebody else, I know what the rate is,
Mhm.
right? As the business owner.
Yeah.
I know how much I want to pay
Yeah.
so and so.
Yeah.
So, but I got people I like, people I don't like. So I give rate and I'm like, all right, cool. The person that I like, I'm gonna give him maybe a little bit above what I actually want to give him.
Mm-hmm.
So I can give the rest of them less than what I want to give them. And then what happened is the hope is that you don't tell each other what you're getting paid.
Right.
Because if you don't tell each other, you'll never know. And I can do it in every day. Every time I hire somebody else, I do it again.
That's a
Because you don't
very,
know.
very old trick. That's divide and
Absolutely.
conquer. I mean, that goes all the way back to the house Negro versus the field. Like,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right. But this is generational cycles.
And it's still
right?
happening in 2023. Like
for
it's,
sure.
if the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's how they look at it.
And I look at everything's broken.
It is.
Everything's broken. I'm like, as soon as somebody says this is how we always do it, I'm like, oh, my ancestors
That's
don't like
the
me.
problem.
No. Automatically, I got you. Like, no, that's not okay.
But
Like,
that's also a sign that you have not innovated. That's a sign that you've never changed.
Right.
For you to be able to say, I've always done it this way, that means you didn't look for a better way to do it.
And that's where we are right now. We can no longer not do it a better way. We can no longer not get hope. We can no longer say, I'm just gonna stuff it. And if you're in a relationship with your partner, start having real conversations. Like, you don't have to get so deep in the beginning, but yo, can we talk? Sometimes I feel like I need to be vulnerable, but I'm scared that you're not going to be able to even see me or accept me. And that makes me feel like I have to hide parts of myself from you. Trust me, your woman don't want that. She don't want that. Not a good one. No.
That was a
So-
great last part to add.
Yeah,
Not a good one.
No, listen. I want to say. Okay, so we all we talked about relationships before. That's kind of just what our age bracket does. So
Man,
but we
people are
what I mean?
seeking relationships.
So at one point I was married, and so I always kind of reflect on the things that that I could have been better at to be better moving forward. So when you're saying that you have to be able to have time and space to have those conversations, I feel like I got to the point where I was like, yo, I should have said this, I could have said that, but then because I'm always just looking at me. But now you're saying well, the other person, you have to be, because other people, I'm willing to listen to whatever it is that you have to say, right? So if you're, sometimes I think the conversation can go what's that saying? You can't one up the one upper. You know what I'm saying? When you talk to somebody yo, I need you to, sometimes I understand that stuff is going on with you, but I really right now I need to tell you, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so
It's not a tit for tat. I need you to hear
so
me
how
and
are
not.
you how are you able to navigate that situation? Because I like honestly, you know, like now looking at it, I don't know that there would have been a lot for me to say, but I know that there may have been times when I started to say something and then like something, and it was like, you know, well, this is what's going on, and now this and this and this and this, and I just kind of like shut down or like got into my, you know what I'm saying? All right, well, I need to be in listen mode. I gotta squinch the way that I'm feeling, like, you know, I gotta push it down, and I'm just gonna listen to you because after all,
Unhealthy,
that's what I'm doing
one-sided.
here.
Nope. And I think that's the part
Protector.
about building relationships. Like there's things that I know my husband has a thing about like being interrupted. Like, but he can go on, right? So you gotta keep your train of thought because sometimes you know.
Yeah.
But that's his thing, and but I know. So I'm always gonna respect that and let him, even if I forget something, because I know that's something that's important to him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let him have his mic when it's his moment, right? You gotta learn each other. Like if she's not hearing that you're saying that, I need like. I didn't get to say, now you focused on you and I'm still holding this. Like I hear what you're saying, but give me a minute because this is something that's really important. If she's not taking that ask twice pause, then there might not have been something because maybe she wasn't ready to receive you, right? That maybe had a lot to do with her also and not being emotionally ready to hear all the parts of you. And so the communication is big. Like for me and my husband, every Sunday we have a meeting. It's a business meeting, no matter what. But it keeps us honest with each other. That's how we communicate. It's a date. It is our date. We don't schedule other people or other business around that. It's Sunday morning. We sit down, but it's our communication time, whether we're talking about finances, our kids, our bills, our goals for the week, our mental check-ins with each other, or what do you need from me extra this week? Or you what's going on? But that's let's set the tone so that we're in alignment.
That's dope.
Right?
dope.
I like
That is
it.
We're in
dope.
alignment.
Yeah.
And so nobody else can be more important than my partner. That is my partner. And so if I feel my partner, I feel myself.
Mm.
And I ain't about failure. Let me put me on the pedal overachiever over here. All right. So, but it
We're
takes
hearing
work.
healthy relationship things.
But it's
I
not
was thinking-
easy. I'm not saying it like it's easy either. It does take work and it takes put your pride aside.
Yeah.
I just want to
Put your
add,
pride
I
aside.
want to put Amber's comment. She said this is much needed discussion. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Amber.
So before we move any further, I just want to, for everyone who is listening, you're watching the Digital Boombox Network. We are the Logic Based Collective, and we do have Khadijah to it here, a psychiatric. So, I was getting ready to say, I was gonna say therapist of the stars almost. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's not mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we're having a conversation about mental health. And it's been really great. I just want to make sure everybody knows that you can also watch us on our channel on YouTube, the Logic Based Collective, as well as DBN. So definitely tap in, hit that subscribe button because we kind of need that. Hit the like button. Don't be a hater. You know what I'm saying? Like we know the conversation that we're having is dope. You can admit it to yourself too. It's fine. So getting back to what we're talking about now, T. What you were saying?
2 points, kind of conflicting. But in the last conversation, wouldn't that be seen as almost like a red flag if you're finding yourself in a space where you want to be vulnerable with someone, but you can't find the space to do that? Like, is that like an opportunity for you to kind of reflect for yourself if this is the person for you? If you're building into a relationship and you're trying to get to the place where I actually feel comfortable being vulnerable, which is typically difficult for us as men, and that person isn't allowing you that sort of a space. Is that something that we continue to communicate about and try and fix? Or is that like, I might need to find a way to exit because I feel like I want to, be vulnerable with you, but you're not allowing me to do that. And that's how I want to be within my relationship. How do you discern that for yourself?
Right. So, right. Exactly right. The gift of discernment, right? Because you're not going to be able to change someone. So if they're not receiving you and they're not willing to grow with you in the relationship, then you're alone anyway.
But that's but to your answer, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
You said grow.
Right.
Now, I think that, you have to decide how they're meeting your attempt at vulnerability, in my opinion.
Right.
Because the same thing you said about your dad. Remember you said like, oh, My dad, I'd never seen him cry. Like, you know what I mean? It was a very new experience as an adult
Mhm.
for you to see him show emotion. Now imagine the girl that you're with or the woman you're with feels the same exact way about her father. How does she welcome you with your emotions when you
Right.
first bring them to her? So you can't just necessarily automatically assume this woman is dismissive.
So this is also the part about knowing the person that you're with, knowing her people, knowing her village, knowing how they communicate, love, and heal up on each other, right? You got to know who you're with. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna get with this person who's had X, Y, and Z amount of trauma, and I think they're gonna be whole and ready to see me and all my stuff. Like, no. So you also have to know your partner. Like, is this person healed? Are they even on a healing journey? Are they in a stuck space? Are they, well, this is the way I've always been, or I've been through some things and I want to be better.
Yeah, I think
Like,
those are two different
Okay,
things.
okay, so this is what I'm saying. So the gift of discernment and knowing when there's a flag on the field. If somebody's not ready to go, are you going to stay stuck for another 10 years waiting when they may never grow? And so be careful with your, this is what I said, your energy. Be careful with your energy. Know who feeds your soul. Know who soothes you. You're going to know when you're in a space with somebody where you're already feeling defensive. Like, if you feel like every time you want to have a real conversation, you're on defense already, communication is not there. Like, you got to get back to some basics because you can't even express yourself to your partner. How are you guys going to go out together and handle the world if you're not in alignment and you're not respecting energy and vulnerabilities and strengths, right? Like, it's a balance. We're whole people, not linear.
I'm just wondering because I hear you saying all those things, and where does previous trauma play into that?
A lot, because we are our experiences, right? And so there's a lot of people with trauma that have, we see it all the time. I'm either going to be the exact opposite or I'm going to fall in
Right.
suit, right? And so we're all growing. And so how have you healed from your trauma, or how are you healing? Do you talk about your trauma? Do you talk about your experiences? And in what way are you talking about them? Like, I can say I've been through a lot of things, but I can also say I am grateful for all those traumas because it built me who I am, because I've healed from that, right?
Right.
So you have to be in a space where you know, is this person growing and healing, or are they stuck and comfortable and just saying, well, accept me as I am, even though you're not healthy in the way that you are. I don't know if that answered.
No, it did.
It did.
Can I ask you a question?
Of
Like, so you
course.
saying because that just reminded me of that. Now I know this art, this generation gets a lot of wisdom from memes. So we, so that, like, that saying, like, if you can't take me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Do you feel like that is a statement to continue to be who you are, instead of trying to grow and just telling somebody like, oh, well, if you can't do this.
I think everything is earned. You have to put some deposits into my account before you can make some withdrawals emotionally. Like, you have to have been filling me up with something for me to keep giving something in return. You can't get, blood from a stone, water from a dry well. You have to make sure that you are watering your fruits before you pick them off the tree. You know what I'm saying? So you have to give into it. You can't just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you pour in.
Okay.
You pour in.
If you've lived your life in survival mode, or with trauma as a major component of your life, and you recognize it, but you don't know how to change it, what would be like first steps of, like, after recognition, understanding that you need to change, but growing up in a way that you don't know how to change because you've never seen it, you've never experienced it, it's not what you want. Like, what are the first steps you can take to try and heal yourself?
The first step is exactly what you said, is acknowledging. I acknowledge that something is broken and is beyond me to repair on my own. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go get some treatment. Because treatment, so what happens with a lot of people is coping skills. You have like a fanny pack. That's what you've had all your life, a little fanny pack. You keep rotating them same 3-4 things that you did when you get stressed out. And then when that's done, it's like, oh, child, I done did all I could do. Right? That's it. You're done. Right?
I've tried
So,
nothing.
right?
I have a lot of ideas.
Tried it all. I'm done. So here's the part about therapy. They build on your fanny pack. So your fanny pack turns into a little satchel. Then all of a sudden you got a little rolling suitcase with you. Then eventually you got a full luggage case, right? But here's the good thing that happens. You're going to see somebody and you're like, oh my God, they only got a fanny pack. Here we go. And you're going to throw them a satchel. And they're going to be a little bit better. And then they're going to go get some help, right? Because you got so much luggage now. You can give up
nothing,
it
right?
ain't nothing. It ain't
Don't worry
nothing to
about
share. Correct. That's what healing looks like. You got a coping skills. That's just like a little fanny pack, a little poop. Can't do much with that.
Question.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh, I got you. Go, I'll go after.
Okay, so let's say your analogy of the luggage, right?
Mhm.
Now, if a person is in treatment actively and they've like developed this whole luggage set
Yeah.
of like tools
Yeah.
to be able to use going forward in life,
Mhm.
how often do you as the professional see people that are looking for people that have their own luggage set as opposed to thinking like, oh nah, she only got the fanny pack, I can't rock with her?
There's
Like,
only-
I would imagine because, like, once people they've spent all this time, that's another internet thing. I spend so much time doing this work, I
So-
can't let someone ruin it.
Heal people don't walk around saying they heal people. Like that's like saying I'm grown.
100,
Grown people don't
right?
walk
Grown
around.
people don't do that.
Grown speak for itself. So when you hear people,
But that's what I wanted to do. Go ahead.
so if you're saying like I'm not doing this because I did all this work, don't nobody want that energy. You're bad energy. That's negative energy. You
You're
keep
probably
you
still
and you
healing.
keep all your work, right? Like
Yeah.
because you're already giving off not healing.
Right.
Right. You're already giving off that energy. So a healed person is
We're
not going to come off
Be
like
as
that.
judgmental.
Yeah, nah, a healed person is going to recognize broken, like, baby, I've been there. Let me pull you up. Not like, oh, you can't go because I growed. Like, no, that's like, no,
Right.
no, like that's how we fail, right? Like, I don't believe in pull yourself up by the bootstrap mentality. Like, I think that I don't wear boots, I wear stilettos. I don't know. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, no, I just don't think that's appropriate. I think that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people reaching for me. And so to say that you're healed, when you're healed, you want to heal others. Like, you don't want a bunch of sour fruit around you. Like, that's just not energy, right? Not good energy. So again, I'm really big on energy. If somebody's saying coming off like that, baby, you ain't ready yet. You're going to get you another miserable person who want to be around that. If you got to say it.
Right. You got to prove it to somebody.
It's like, it doesn't work that way. People.
I had a quick question. So somebody, being that you're in this is your field, this is your career. If somebody is looking to help to heal somebody, right? If they're looking from having that suitcase and they're trying to get somebody with a fanny pack to kind of like upgrade, what do you say is like, how do you determine when it's like, all right, this person isn't ready to upgrade from this person wants to upgrade but doesn't know how?
Right. So again, we talked about experiences, right?
Yeah.
What would you have done differently? What did you recognize in your own pattern? What would you have wished somebody would have said to you when you was in that moment?
Right.
And that's what you give them. Like, I've been there. Like, listen, I know exactly where you at. I'm
Right.
trying to tell you, this is what I went through. And if somebody would have just said whoop the whoop the whoop, I would have like been a lot better, a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's up to that person to take what you're saying, but you can trust that you've done your part and walk away feeling healed and good because you've given what you needed. Exactly right. So you've done your part, right? There's some gratification in just knowing that you didn't like not try to help somebody. What they do, everybody is an adult, everybody grown, they're gonna make their own decisions and live with that. But and it's not like, oh, I told you so. But next time they're gonna be looking at you and they're gonna be listening a little bit harder. Like, remember when you said,
Yes.
well, here, this is where I'm at now. What you think I should do, y'all? And I can tell you now they're gonna be listening, right? Because hard head make a song.
That's what my mama told me.
You're gonna learn one way or another.
And I think too, when you've healed and you build a tool case for yourself, giving away a tool doesn't mean that you're not left with that tool.
Right.
It's not like a physical item, right? Just because I give you a jewel or I give you something that can enrich your life or make you better doesn't mean that I've lost it, right? So it's really paying it forward.
Like the idea of having a tool belt is very intriguing to me because I'm a fan of Batman. And there's nothing you didn't have on his utility.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
That's the way I'm looking at it right now. And so I want for you to speak to some of the things that we may say to ourselves as a reason why we don't go to therapy. Now, I know there was a time when I was of this mindset. Fortunately, it's I'm no longer. But what would you say to those who don't want to seek help because they don't want to feel that there's something wrong with them? Like I know I don't like to feel like I'm crazy. I don't want to feel like, you know what I mean? Like, even if others don't know about it, like my self-image, in order for it to be positive, like, you know what I mean? Like there's just certain things that I cannot allow myself to do. And so what do you say, like to those people that just like, I don't want to go to therapy because they're like, I can handle this. There's nothing wrong. I can do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, how's it working for you? Because I know it's not. Right? So that's my first thing. Like that's great. And then, do you want to be superficially happy on the outside, or do you really want to radiate happiness? So you can fake it, but that's about it. And everybody else might think is something, but again, when you lay down at night, you know what it is. Your soul gonna tell you. And so if it ain't peaceful and you going to bed and it's all love and you having all these thoughts in your head, I'm gonna say, how's it working for you? Because it's probably not. And you can say, I don't want to have this title or this label, but you're walking around with all these scars, infecting everybody with your unhealed self. So it's toxic, but you're shiny and pretty though.
I mean, you shiny and pretty with the label. Like, just because nobody said it to you don't mean they don't see it. Like,
it's like what you're describing. It sounds like an emotional zombie. Like, how they run around and they infect people.
But it's
just
true.
like, I've been bitten. Oh no, I think negative thoughts. Like,
we all worked, right? Let's just talk about a work context. We've all worked with a miserable person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How's your shift going?
I'm not gonna say no names, man.
There ain't never been a good day.
So imagine
it's rained every day we work.
if this is the person that you're with and around all the time, that is a part of your family, that is a part of your unit, that is a part of your circle. Imagine what that does to the others around them over time. It's eroding. And so you can put on your armor all you want and fake it, but like, we know.
Right. I mean,
like, other people know too. Like,
now that we're thinking about it, I'm like, I wonder how you got that way. How did you get here? Like, how did you? Because like, I've always looked at it from the point of view, like most people that you come across, like, so they're up and they're down. But there are, like we said, like we do have those coworkers or those people that we know that are constantly down. Like, how did you get there? Who, like, and I think I'll speak for myself. I haven't always been that apt to find out, like to give you that lifeboat or that life, like that life raft, because to you, you're drowning. Well, I've asked and I've been trying, like you always try to give them an encouraging word or something. Like, yo, it's all right. It's going to be better. Like it looks up. But for them, it doesn't. I don't think I ever actually dove deep into that. So like thinking about it now.
Unhealed.
Right.
Is that your job?
I was about to say, because like sometimes
they're unhealed is unhealed. You're not gonna be able to do nothing with that in the shift. Like,
oh no.
I was about to say. Plus, I mean, like, yeah, no disrespect to like my luggage set, but it's like, what if I still don't have the tools to tell you? Like, you know what I mean? And you start unloading what you're going through. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not like even trained. Like the most I can suggest is like,
that's not your job.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's not your job. Your job is to be healed and to make sure that the people that are around in your circle are getting the best of you so that they can be healed. Right. So your job is not to heal the person over there who got so much stuff going on. Like you can give them a little bit and, give them some support, but that's not your job. Your job is in your immediate.
Right.
And that's how we break the generational. So it's in your day-to-day actions. It's in your character. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you present in front of other people. It's what people say when you're in and outside of the room. Like those are the ways that we break the curses. Like your name, right? You should not have $1 in your pocket, but people know you and you can go anywhere because they're going to look out for you because you're good people. Right. So you got to break it generationally by like doing that work in your own circles, in your own network. That's how we all get bigger luggage. Like that's how we all grow emotionally. And spending them time with our babies. Like, don't wait until your baby is big. Who's like I say, your kids know you as mom and dad. Do they know you as Khadijah? Do they know you? Like, this is why we have such a hard time because there's this false sense of like, oh, you're mom, and then there's nothing else. No, let me
Mhm.
tell you about mom and who I am, what I've been through, and let me give you a little bit of my story so you can understand. And let me tell you that I'm vulnerable. You know, I tell my kid, you don't come, you don't come home and you don't call, you triggering me. I got my own trauma, right? I need you to
Yeah.
hear that you disrupted me, and like this don't feel good to my soul. So
Mhm.
having these conversations help them to be better, more astute, more alert, more good people in their own community. So it's not overnight. It's not like I'm gonna sit down and have this conversation and somebody's life is all of a sudden they're gonna be walking away like I got this, you know. It's not gonna work like that.
Gotcha.
This is a slow, gratifying process. You know, it's work. It's inner work. And then when you feel healed, you want to see it in others. When you see your own kids, you're like, oh, nope, see them signs. Nope, come here, let me talk to you. It's more
Right.
tenderness, right? Like, oh, my father wasn't a hugger. I'm hugging.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know what I'm
Easy.
saying? Right. It's just knowing, but right, it's knowing the differences.
Right.
You know what you would have needed as a child that
Mhm.
would have made you feel better.
Mhm.
We all have those conversations with our younger self that was like, man, I just wish during that time somebody would have just been like, oh man, like, right? We have those conversations and have them for real.
I like how you gave it an anchor. So you said like when you're having conversations with your children, like not just being okay with just being mom, but showing them who you are, like who Khadijah was,
Yeah.
like what you went through. Because I think when they have that story, it's easier for them to relate because one of their friends could be living that
Yeah.
same life. And now they know how to handle them
Mhm.
Or to
because
view
their
you as a
mother
whole
as
person.
or their father.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they just see things, you know, differently. And then,
Right.
then they bring their people around like, no, my kids, I think you should talk to my mom. I don't know how many times
Oh,
I
that's
think
dope.
you need to talk to my mom. Like, I don't know
That's
what's
dope.
wrong, but I think you should talk to my mom.
I like that.
You know, but that's how the healing starts.
I had a question for you. And I'm not sure if it would apply directly to you or maybe someone in the field that
Mhm.
one of your colleagues or something like that. But how is it if you are empathetic when people bring all their trauma to you
Mhm.
in your job?
Yeah. Um, so I'm very good at compartmentalizing, right? So I'm going to be empathetic, but I learned a lot working in inpatient. So one of the valuable lessons that I learned in inpatient was that I get to go home.
And leave
I
that
get to
there.
leave. They've lost choice. So that means I still have choice. So I have to choose to be healthy when I go home. I have to choose not to bring, you know, all the trauma with me. So for me, it's mental. I literally, when I see a patient, I have a big steel cabinet, right? And it's got all sorts of locks on it. So when I start my day, I unlock the cabinet. And then when you open it up, it's a bunch of small cabinets and they have locks. And each one of those small cabinets is a patient. And so when I take them out, I open them and it's all about them. And I take care of them and I pour myself and they get everything that they need from me. And then I put them back and they go back and I lock them. And I pull my next one out. Because if I take that to the next one, they get an injustice. Right. And if I take any of them home,
Right.
then my family gets an injustice.
Right.
So my goal is to protect them and myself from vicarious trauma.
So I think that's a lesson for anyone that's an empath.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, like, you know, when you are a good listener ear, you have a level head, you may not have the degree that you have,
Right.
but you know, your friends seek you out as like, oh yeah, like, you know, this guy has solid advice or he can listen to me. And it's like, I like the way that you frame that. That's cool.
And again, protect your energy. I keep saying this. Like, I'm not going to be drained, right? So you have to, this is how I protect my energy. And I know who feeds my energy. So when I'm done working, I need to be around people that calm my soul, that make me feel safe, that make me feel at peace, where I can take off my armor and put my stuff down and be like, "Ooh, child, it's just Deej today." Like, you know, I've been down for all day. That's it. I just want to be Deej for a little bit, like, you know. And so, but we all need that space to be able to let it go and put it down.
That's a big amen for me.
For sure.
I know, like taking it all in.
Pause.
Oh, man.
I needed that.
So I mean, you know, I talk about energy. So just to let everybody know, when you see us, probably looking at our phones is not because we're being disrespectful. We are streaming on 3 channels, trying to make sure that everything is right. I think that everybody's just kind of so make sure everything's everything. But this is the Logic Based Collective on the Digital Boombox Network. You can also go and like, share, subscribe to our channel at the Logic Based Collective on YouTube. If you are there, please hit the button. Even if you don't like us, I happen to know that people that don't like you follow you as well. To everybody that doesn't like us, but you want to continue to see what we're up to and you never like anything, the subscription is greatly appreciated. So we're here.
We'll be right here for you to hate us next week.
We certainly shall be. We are here with psychiatric extraordinaire. Continue to it.
Right.
So you're talking about energy. So you're talking about energy, the energy that she's talking about when we're being, when we get to decide who is around us. I like that perspective because you sound like a friend of ours.
Oh yeah.
Who's really big into that, and be able to kind of just keep people at arm's length and not feel bad about it. But the same energy that you're talking about, the same good energy is the energy that you're bringing into the room now. So it's not just something just for you all who are watching, who are not able to be in the room. If you can't tell, it's the energy that she's absolutely bringing to the room, and not just something, not just therapist speak. So go ahead, T.
I just want to kind of change gear a little bit, and I want to talk about anxiety. How does it present in different people, and how can people that deal with anxiety figure out ways to try and work on that for themselves if they're not ready to seek the treatment, or even if they are in treatment and it's not working the way they want it to work? What are some tools that they can put in their satchel?
Yeah, so a couple things. So anxiety presents in a lot of different ways. So for some people, it could be like, that first day of school feeling, but it don't go away and it's not the first day of school. Yeah, that dread, like it's actually like dread. So it can feel like that. It can feel like irritability. It can feel like restlessness. Like I just can't sit still. I'm fidgety. I'm moving around. I'm like internally, I can't get my body to like calm down. It can be like racing thoughts. Like my mind is all over the place, right? Or it can be like I just feel blank. I can't get nothing together, right? It can be feeling stressed, feeling overwhelmed all the time. Poor sleep can make you feel anxious. And then we talk about how do you combat that?
Right.
First of all, it's holistic, right? There's a lot of things that you can do. So first, know if you're having triggers. What is causing it? If there's something specific, what is your agitator? What is the trigger? Like, is there something causing it? Or is it coming out of nowhere? You have no idea and you're just feeling it, right? So then we're going to look at a couple of things. What are you eating? Okay. How much sugar and caffeine are you taking in during the day? Because a lot of people are tired, so they're taking in a lot of caffeine, which has a lot of sugar, which affects your heart, which affects your sleep, which affects your mind. And so we're going to look at all of that, right? We're going to look at your stress levels. We're going to look at what's your self-care routine. Like, I know I have to exercise for me personally for anger management. It's what keeps me grounded, right? I'm gonna be just straight up and so if I'm not exercising more than 2 days, I'm gonna feel irritable. And so I set an appointment with myself. It's a date, it's a schedule. So when people say, oh, what are you doing at such and such time? If it's my workout time, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I have another engagement. Don't nobody care. Right. I have another engagement. I'm booked with myself, booked and busy. Because I know that if I don't take care of myself, I'm not able to take care of anybody else. So you have to figure out what soothes your soul, right? Is it music? Is it reading? Is it art? Is it exercise? Is it going for a walk? Is it calling somebody that you trust? Like, you have to know what soothes your soul and pick a few things and then make them a part of your routine. Like, if it's prayer, put your shoes under your bed so that you have to bend your knees and you can't get up without being humble. Make it into your routine. Make it work, right? Make it work. What makes you feel good so that you don't skip the things that are a part of you that are going to keep you at your best. Know thyself. And if it's not working, come and get some help. Because sometimes, like I said, medication is for a reason and a season. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you were a diabetic and you were eating right and your sugar was still uncontrolled, nobody would say anything to that if you had to take meds. If you had hypertension and you had high blood pressure and it was genetic and that's completely out of your control, which a lot of mental illnesses are, right? And you're just happen to be predisposed, you're doing all the right things, nobody would judge you if it was any other medical condition. But because it's mental health and I can't give you put you through a machine and give you a fancy number, like, oh my God, what you're saying is really true. You feel like crap. Like, I know you do, right? So you're telling me enough to say, give yourself some credit and get some treatment, low and slow, right? Get you a good provider. Because first of all, if you're taking any medications, there's rules. And I'm gonna tell people they don't know this. Informed consent is really important. You cannot consent to a medication if someone has not gone over FDA approved and off-label uses, what the dosing is for the medication, what the side effects are, what the risks and benefits are, and what the other treatment options are.
I think that's important.
And so oftentimes we don't know the questions to ask. And so we go to the doctor, we tell them something, they dictate to us, we go home, we take it, we hate it, we don't take it again.
That's a fact.
Because we don't even know what these feelings are, because nobody even told us, out
Absolutely.
straight up what you're going to feel. Like, hey, you might be a little sweaty in the beginning, your mouth might be dry. That stuff is going to go away in a couple of weeks. Don't worry about it. These are the things that I want to know about. Is your libido low? Are you feeling more irritable? Is it affecting your sleep? Then we might need to switch something up. Are you eating more? Are you eating too little? Then we might need to switch something up. Let's see. But this is why we have really good conversations, because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
So like you said, I'm looking at all these side effects. I don't want this rash. Have you looked at the back of a Tylenol? You would think you could die of liver poisoning to read that thing. Like, I'm not taking this. It's going to kill me. It's going to kill me. So knowledge is power, and having somebody who is comfortable explaining it in a way, like, it does me no good to know it and not give it to people to heal. Like, it's stupid to do that. I got the information so I can share the information to give it to people so they can make a choice about what feels good in their body and their lives, and we work together. If you don't love it, we don't take it.
On average, okay, I can't say on average. There are different medicines, and each of them may work differently in different times. Let's say, think about the top three. Could you tell us, or the listeners, when you're on certain medications, about how long should you wait before you say, because sometimes people take it for like a day or two and you're like, it's not working. They never take it again. So how long does it take to get into your system where it should be working? If you're not seeing any bad side effects or whatever, before you should go to your doctor and say, I don't think this,
Right. So if we're talking, if you have to go to this is a layered question right here. If you have to go to your doctor and tell them, so that's annoying me. Okay. So here's the thing. If you are starting on a new medication, say it's an antidepressant. For some antidepressants, it can take a couple of weeks to start working. So for me, I start very low with people. So I'll tell them, I'm starting on this low dose. It's not really therapeutic, but I want to make sure it feels good in your body and you're not having side effects. Because if you don't tolerate it, you're not going to take it. So I'm very straight up. You've been living in your body with however you've been feeling long enough so you can sit with this for a little while we get you on the right treatment that feels good in your body. So we go low and slow, right? And then I say, okay, we're starting this. It's not, see you next month, call me when you feel better. It's, let's do a check-in in 2 weeks. Just to see how you're doing, right? We might not change anything, but I want to know, are you tolerating it? Are you missing doses? Are you having bad side effects? Have other people noticed any change in your behavior? Right? Yeah. So we're going to just do an early check-in just to see how you're doing. And then we're going to give it another 2 weeks. And you're either going to be feeling better or partially better. But you already are going to know before we even started what the doses were because we talked about it. Mm-hmm. So you already know you got this window. So this is not new information, but we're going to go over it again. Remember I said it starts at 20, but I started you at 10. So it's not really therapeutic, but now we're going to go up to the lowest baby dose for an adult. Here you go. We're going to see how that goes. Give you a couple weeks, right? And then we go slow until we find your sweet spot, like your sleep number, right? Gotcha. Now you're feeling good and you're thriving. Now I'm going to say, hey, give yourself a little bit of time. You've been feeling like real bad. Coast for a while. You feel good? Sit in that. Ride that, right? Feel good. 6 months, whatever. Then you come back, Dr. T, I don't know. My life is popping. I don't think I even need this. Because that's why people ought to say, I feel great. So I stopped it because I thought I was better.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's what they do.
So we talk about up front. If you feel great and you don't need it, don't just stop this on your own because you're going to regret it. We a team. We start off a team. We're going to finish the team.
Right.
All right. So that's when we say, let's just sprinkle down a little bit. One or two things are going to happen. And they always come back and tell me either it was real good or like, yo, let's not do that again, okay?
Right.
So
I realized
So,
that was not the
that was not a good, and people will say this, so I think it really does work. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, baby, it does. It does. Like my wife wanted me to call you. I'm like,
Oh,
I bet you she did.
She had your number
Yeah,
on
yeah,
speed
yeah, yeah.
dial.
She was like, I think you need to call your doctor.
Here's the lady. Yo, I called the lady.
I need a lady.
You said that you practiced for 20 years, right?
I've been working in healthcare for 20 years. So I'll tell you
Okay.
this. So I started off in nursing school, right? And I was on my last semester and I got arrested and kicked out of the nursing program.
Okay.
Right. So they wouldn't let me go back to nursing. So then I went and got my degree as an occupational therapist assistant, waited for the statute of limitations to run out. And then I went and got my LPN. Okay. LPN. Then I got my RN. Then I got my bachelor's and then I got my doctorate.
Gotcha.
And so I've been working in healthcare for over 20 years. And I've worked in many different environments. So I've worked in patient psychiatry. I worked in outpatient rehab. I was a provider at our local shelter on Worthington Street. I did community nursing. And now I have my own practice. And so it's important. And I've done management. And so it's important for me to take all of those experiences and give the tea to my people. Like I got all the backdoor stuff. Like I'm not holding this to my chest. Y'all can miss me with it. I'm telling everything.
Right.
I'm making sure. Oh, you got an interview? Let me. Who? Oh, where? Oh, let me see. Who do I? I'm telling it all. Stop playing with me. What did they tell you the numbers are? That was 2 years ago, baby. Let me see what no. Let me call around and see what's happening. We're gonna do that because I need you to be well. Because once you're well,
Right.
your babies get better. Your household get better. Y'all thriving better. Y'all going better. Like, yeah, it's contagious. Like healing is contagious. You just keep wanting more of it. Right? It's like, oh, it feels good. Give me more. So, but we've been stuck a long time.
Yeah.
So with that 20 years, so that brings us back to like 03, right? So in that span of time, like now we have like this whole like, everyone's glued to their phones thing. And we have the whole WebMD era where people come into you self-diagnosed.
Oh yeah.
And I'd love to hear the take from a medical professional of people thinking that they figured out what's going on according to their cell phone and their Google search.
Yeah. So I think I might be a little bit more unconventional because I welcome people to research and bring stuff to me. So I'm the first person to tell you, like, I'm gonna give you the medicine that I'm gonna try. We ain't even ordering it today. Go do your Google, go ask your Reddit, come back with all your hot stories, and we're gonna talk about it before we even prescribe. So we're gonna get it all out there. I'm cool with people wanting to research and find out information about themselves because we don't give it to them. If we were teaching about mental health at all grade levels, so people knew what anxiety felt like in their body, knew what trauma felt like, knew what depression felt like, and we had actual educators that also knew what it looked like and knew how to help people who had those problems, we would be in a space where people didn't have to look on TikTok to get diagnosed, right? And so I welcome it. Tell me what you recognize on TikTok that you see in yourself. And then we're going to talk about it for real. Well, this baby ain't that. Okay. So, but this right here looks more like this. Are you having these other things too? And I'm like, oh my God, yes. Well, let's talk about these other things. And now just tell me yes or no. Does this fit?
I mean, that's customer service skills though.
But are we not here to deliver?
No, that's what I'm saying.
We should not be. First of all, we pay our coins
Yeah.
for bad providers. I'm walking out. You don't give me eye contact and you looking like funny money, I'm gonna sit there with the blank stare. And as soon as you start, I'm like, I'm all set, baby. You can't touch that. You couldn't even look at me.
I get you.
But if you don't know, you don't know. Right? And we're used to not knowing, and we're used to going into spaces where people who are caring for us don't look like us. So we're already just like trying to prove that we're good enough to just be seen. Like, I'm a good person, just make sure that like treat me right.
So that actually leads me to my next question. So how do we go about finding because I know earlier you said you were the president, I believe.
I was, yeah.
Yes. So being that you were the president, so you know the people that to talk to. Like, how do we find out like people like us that are doctors, nurse practitioners? How do we find, like, is there a way that we can find them?
Yeah, actually there is. So one of the websites that I use, that I tell people to go to quite often, is Psychology Today. And the reason why is because you can filter. on Psychology Today. So you can be like, oh, I want to be seen for anger. I have this insurance. I want to see a Black doctor who is bisexual, or like you can literally filter everything that you want, and they'll show you who's open taking patients.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm on there. So I'm like, you know, Black doctor, go on there. I'm gonna tell you, look at. I help people find people. I'm like, what you need, a therapist? Go on there. And we look, and I'm like, look at the profile. Is that a face you want to look at?
Listen,
Like, yo,
Is that a face?
I'm looking at that
it's a
face
real story.
like, all
It's a
right.
real story. Like, look at that profile. Look at what they say. I'm like, that sounds a little weird. It's like.
And I'm not gonna lie, I extend that and I go to their social media.
Let me
too
tell
to
you,
see if
I see my patients popping up on my LinkedIn every day.
I gotta know what's up.
But I don't care. I don't care. Go ahead and do your homework.
So what was that now?
Psychology
And
Today.
then what-
Psychology Today.
Okay, all right. No, because I was like, okay, made me think I tried BetterHelp before, and it was like all the things, all the filters. It was dope. Like all the filters were dope, but then like
Mhm.
the person that actually got it was like no. So he's like, all right, I would like a Black doctor. I would like like this. I want to
Yep.
talk about this and that. And then it was like, oh, we don't have those things, but we have this.
Come in black.
We do. What we're gonna do is we're gonna give you this.
It's on
white
back
woman.
order.
Say, no.
It's like,
Right.
this
Right.
white woman, we're gonna let you see, and then
Yo.
for the low price. I'm
They
like,
are
No.
inundated
Like,
with white
dang,
women.
yo, like, you know what I'm saying?
On top of that.
Because I'm like, yo, I mean, I feel like because the copay was wild, yo. So I'm like, yo, if I gotta do that, if I gotta do that, like, yo, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not paying
Get what you want.
Like,
Right.
I'm not paying like roof Chris prices for like an Applebee's steak. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, but they like
I don't want
they
that.
weren't like
That's a mental health.
they weren't able to.
professional.
They weren't able to. They weren't able to. I don't want to know what the Applebee's of mental health. No, but I'm saying like so in saying that like that was just something. But who? So I'm asking this because like this has come up when I've talked to other people about therapy, seeking therapy or whatever. People have anxiety about it, often think about what the therapists have going on. And so it's like, how do I know that they're going to be able to help me if they're dealing with all of these things? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I the first time I saw therapy, I met this really good guy. He had like 3 jobs. And so I related to him,
Yeah.
but I questioned whether or not I would be able to be helped because I'm like, bro, like you're working 19 hours a day. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right.
so if you're doing that,
How
like,
effective are you
would
gonna be?
Yeah, how are you going to be able to help me? Because I know you know what I mean? Like I could be dope at my job when I want to, but I know that I'll coast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when I get tired, like, yo, man, I don't feel like talking to you today. So I'm just going to give you a generic answer and I'm cool. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
So it takes homework. And did you have a good connection? And was he doing his job?
Yeah.
Then he's handling his business, right?
Yeah.
And then he might be working 19 hours, but is he only working 2 days a week?
That's a good question.
So you only know what you know.
Yeah.
All right. And so that's the part about.
It's for all the overthinkers out there.
Yeah, I know. Y'all be going deep. This I
Like,
know.
yeah.
Y'all go down the well, man. I'm telling you. Like I know.
Gonna
But-
find an excuse.
But sit in the moment, right? In that moment, you were getting some help. In that moment, regardless of what that person had going on, they showed up and they were ready to receive you.
True.
They did their job.
Perspective.
You didn't have to worry about what else they had going on because in that moment, they were ready. Somebody might say, "Oh my God, you got 9 kids. You a Jamaican. You working 6 jobs. What you can't help me? Like you a felon? Like somebody could read my whole story and think like, what? You can read me if you want, but you're gonna miss these jewels. I promise you that.
Mm.
Right? So
Valid.
don't look at the back of the cover and think you know what's on the inside of the pages.
That's real.
It's just Cliff Notes.
It's a bar.
Yes, it is.
Cliff Notes.
So we coming to our time.
I say that might be the on that note.
Yeah. So yeah, on that note, we gonna take it out. If anybody has, if all hearts and minds are clear, we want to see.
We hope you come back.
Yeah.
Appreciate
truly.
the
Yes,
conversation.
again, we want to thank you. Also, I want to read off again. Because I could just read off of the card, but I don't have my glasses on me, and this has more light behind it. So there's confusion to it. She says that you spell her name, and I asked. DIJA. Tuitt, TUITT. And your website is, see, it did a blue thing.
Intuit BH. INTUITTBH.com. Because when you see me, we gonna get into it. All right.
Hey.
Okay.
That's dope. So, so this has been the Logic Based Collective. We hope to see you guys next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Actually, the next time that you see me, I'll be 42 years old. Glad I'm with all of my people, and so because I'm not sure if I'll see everybody, I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you all, and to thank you for being the people that you are. I definitely would not be where I'm at in such a good space, a good headspace, if I didn't have you all in my life, and so I just want to make sure that I tell you guys how much I appreciate y'all.
We love you.
Yeah, I love you guys. I definitely don't take your friendship for granted. So, I appreciate you. And so, we'll say just like any other time, they will be here next week without me because I shall be on vacation. But until next time, allow Jesus to be the lotion that lathers your ashy soul. We out.
Or therapy. A little medication.
Okay, appreciate you. That was dope.
Yeah,
Well, I think you're crazy.